There you are. I hope you all are staying warm during this Arctic blast that we're currently going through, but you guys know the vibes. For context, these videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything. They are just theories, not facts. Now let's dive straight in. Unknown humanoid spotted in a cave.
Naik, wabalik itu naon! Itu naon itu! Woi, naik! Woi, itu naon, woi! Wow! Itu naon, woi! Naik, woi! Naik, wabalik itu naon! Itu naon itu! Woi, naik! Woi, itu naon, woi! Wow! Itu naon, woi! Naik, woi! Naik, wabalik itu naon! Itu naon!
I feel like they're not acting. If they are, they deserve an Oscar. And it's hard to see that, it's not AI generated. I'm not seeing anything look wonky. If we get a close up on here, you can actually see his hand affect the waterfall. You see how it was a quick splash there? Yeah, so I don't think this is generated. Now the question is, what is that? I don't know if this is just down the river or what, but something massive's in there. That could be a manatee. An older manatee that's been through some battles, because you can see some of the scar tissue a little bit. See right there? Almost like it was a shark bite. What do you think that is?
Here we have a video by Maria Chrysler, who works within our team. And this is showing the construction of a filament in a chain-like way with the nanobots. So the nanobots are actually building this filament. And these are biosynthetic filaments that are building a web within the body. My view, and the reason it's happening, is to rewire the human from the inside out using synthetic biology as the backbone for a new kind of controllable organism. This isn't theoretical. These are real. These are global. We're seeing them in everybody.
This is true. I wonder if this affects animals. Like, are they able to put it inside dogs, cats, birds, because if you think about it, they breathe in the same smart dust, eating the same processed food we are. So it's getting scary if this is real. Again, just looking at a picture, that doesn't tell us unless you actually looking at the microscope yourself and can identify what it is, but it's still a scary thought, to say the least.
Here in live blood analysis, you see two hydrogel puddles and they're full of nanotechnology. And then you see a line of quantum dots. So you can actually see that one puddle is communicating with another. So we're witnessing active systems here that are speaking to each other inside of human fluid. This isn't theory, this is evidence. This is part of the transhumanism agenda.
If you want to know who's running the show on the physical plane, you have to go to demon-infested Rome and the fact. If you want to know who's running the show on the physical plane, if you want to know who's running the show on the physical plane, you have to go to demon-infested Rome and the families that have controlled Rome. And their other corporations, i.e. Paris, London and Bonn in Germany. DC, Wall Street and the Zionists. So they are all controlled by Italian families, rest assured, and Germanic families, because of the Holy Roman Empire, which was once Roman and German. And the German families would be the Rothschilds, the Bowers, the Windsors, the black nobility, basically. Black because their deeds are black. They are witches, covens of witches, den of thieves. They are Pharisees, they are offspring of vipers, they have no source connection, all they want to do is rule at all costs, no matter how, even if they suffer. For instance, which are toxic, and all of these horrible fluoride in the water, and all of this poison that they're putting everywhere, chemicals, This is deliberate because they are masters at destroying the souls of other beings. The Vatican's a gang, the Jesuits are a gang, the Mafia, Khazarian/Hyksos gang. There's lots of mafias, there's a lot of gangs, and mostly top-heavy with warmongering. They love war so that we can always have fear, and so that we always live in fear and anxiety and the dread of what may come upon us. These gangs are basically infested by demons, and not in the traditional sense of demon, but in the sense of egregore. These gangs, they create egregores. That's why gangs are formed, you see. And it's why the scriptures warn us against going with the crowd. Better to walk alone than with a crowd that's going the wrong way.
Things are ramping up quick, guys. Trump just signed a new executive order launching AI initiative being compared to the Manhattan Project. If you don't understand the magnitude of this and how it relates to biblical prophecy, I pray that you wake up and start connecting the dots. He's directing the federal government to combine efforts with tech companies and universities to convert government data into scientific discoveries, acting on his push to make AI the engine of the nation's economic future. And he's calling this executive order the Genesis mission. The Department of Energy will lead the effort to craft the American Science and Security Platform, notice, which will unite supercomputers, AI, and quantum systems. This is all literally from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation. God creates man in his image, then man creates AI in our image. Genesis 6, the sons of God, who were the fallen angels that Satan deceived, those sons of God went into the daughters of men and had children, which were giants, or the Nephilim. So those Nephilim being half human and half fallen, a majority of them were wiped out during the flood. But the disembodied spirits of those giants did survive. We even see this in the Gospels when Jesus cast out a legion of demons from a man. And those disembodied spirits, many would call them demons, but biblically defined, they are devils and unclean spirits. Now, on the surface, this might seem like it's the US against China in a race to build the best AI systems, because every major company of the world is building out their own version of AI. So the question is this just about national security for each individual country, or is there something else, something much bigger going on here? Revelation 19:19, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. The beast is the Antichrist, Revelation 13, and him that sat on the horse is Jesus Christ, who's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Please listen to me carefully. They want us to think that all of this AI advancement is strictly in the name of science, security, technology, and economic success for all of us in the future. But if you're connecting the dots and you're in this book studying it, then you'll see, my friend, that all of this buildup of AI and technology and so on and robotics is actually a building of an army, both robotically and physically, to wage war against Christ. I'm telling you, my friend, that we are living in the last seconds of the last days, and the fallen know that their time is almost up. And demons, which are unclean spirits, they can possess, they can inhabit even things such as robots. And this is now a vessel for them to inhabit, to again wage war against Christ and use humanity as the pawns on the chessboard. Things are ramping up quick, guys. Trump just signed a new executive order launching.
And again, this Greenland situation makes sense, because what better spot than Arctic conditions is it for you to store a data center, a high-powered quantum data center? Do you know how much power it takes to cool like a giant computer system? You got to run multiple refrigerators. That's taken away from the computing power they could put into the graphics chips. So if they just had sub-zero conditions, they could use all their energy and focus on running those systems as hard as they can.
Who can tell me what this is?
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen.
This one is not sci-fi. This actually happened. During the Cold War, the U.S. launched a classified plan called Project Iceworm.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland.
The idea was to hide nuclear missiles under the ice so the enemy could never find them. Now, to test it, they built a real underground city, Camp Century, inside Greenland's ice sheet. tunnels, living quarters, labs, even a nuclear reactor buried in the ice. They believed that the ice was stable. The ice moves. The tunnels shifted, cracked, collapsed faster than expected. So the base became unstable. They shut it down. They removed equipment, but not everything. Radioactive waste, fuel, and chemicals were left behind. At the time, they believed it would stay frozen for thousands, maybe millions of years, but decades later, scientists tested ice samples collected from the Cold War era and found ice is melting far faster than they had expected. Now, some estimates suggest that if melting continues, that waste could eventually end up in the ocean. Now, some people think this is about cleaning up the Cold War mess, others think it's about finishing what was started back then. We'll leave that speculation for part 2. Who can tell me what this is?
If we don't take
You've probably sensed what makes this threatening to people who haven't developed inner richness. These solitary individuals appear mysterious, even threatening, because their contentment challenges the assumption that human happiness requires constant social validation and external entertainment. It's evidence of psychological development that most people never attempt. They've learned to enjoy their own company because they've made their inner world worth visiting. This development is actually essential for healthy relationships. You've likely observed that people who can't tolerate being alone often become psychologically dependent on others in ways that diminish rather than enhance connection. If you've ever chosen to stay home alone instead of going to a social event and felt genuinely happy about it, comment, "I found myself in the silence."
I found myself in the silence.
Your experience has probably shown you that the person who chooses solitude from inner richness brings more to their relationships, not less. They engage with others from fullness rather than emptiness, choice rather than desperation, strength rather than need.
Life becomes a curse when you become conscious. This is something no one wants to hear, but that's the truth, because awareness doesn't make things brighter. It strips the paint off everything you thought was real. Try watching a movie after that. You don't get lost in the story anymore. You see the messaging, the patterns, the fingerprints of whoever paid for the script, the way ideas are planted instead of told. The magic is gone because
I'm telling you, every show I'm watching, I'm terrified about what type of agenda are they going to throw at me in this movie. What are they trying to sneak in? You know, that's probably why I don't enjoy movies anymore, because it's like I'm constantly worrying about, are they about to put something in my face I'm really not about to like?
your brain won't shut up and play along. Go to a party and it's even worse. Everyone looks like they're running old code, repeating the same lines, the same jokes, the same insecurities dressed up as confidence, a room full of people chasing dopamine and pretending it's connection. Go on a date and you don't see romance, you see conditioning. You see old wounds, validation habits, roles learned early and worn well, masks polished over years of needing approval. You're not cruel for noticing it, you're just awake. That's the part no one prepares you for. Consciousness doesn't free you, it separates you. It pulls you out of the noise and leaves you standing alone while everyone else keeps clapping for the show, calling it normal because they need it to be. Once you see how the world is stitched together, you don't go back to innocence. You live with clarity, and clarity is quiet, uncomfortable, and lonely. What's left isn't happiness or despair, it's silence, and silence at least doesn't lie.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
You need to pay attention, because you've been misled about who you were all along. You hold way more power than anyone knows. People called you soft, emotional, fragile, but that was never the truth. Your sensitivity wasn't a flaw, it was power wrapped in the wrong story. And the world learned to use that power against you before you ever learned to use it for yourself. Because here's the twist no one tells you. A healed empath isn't calm, gentle, or easy to handle. A healed empath is dangerous, not to the good, but to everything that feeds on chaos, manipulation, and emotional imbalance. When an empath heals, they have a drastic shift. They become the one thing people never expected. Empaths were never meant to be the quiet background characters. They were placed in the middle of chaos for a reason. You were the one born into unstable families, heavy rooms, conflict-filled relationships. Not because you were weak, but because you were the only one who could keep the energy from collapsing. You were the stabilizer, the hidden guardian, the one who could sense what others refused to see. But before you healed, you didn't know your purpose. You didn't know that people weren't drawn to your kindness. They were dependent on your balance. They used your energy to soothe their wounds while leaving you empty. But now, you're no longer the stabilizer who sacrifices yourself for everyone else. And the moment an empath steps into that role, everything around them begins to shift. Fast. Before healing, an empath often clings to anything that feels familiar. Relationships, friendships, even situations that drain them, simply because the idea of being alone felt worse than the cost of staying. They were constantly trying to save people, hold everything together, and avoid abandonment at all costs. But once an empath heals, something extraordinary happens. The fear of being alone disappears, and in its place rises a quiet inner strength that surprises even them. A healed empath doesn't chase, doesn't cling, and doesn't beg for a space in anyone's life. Their sense of self becomes so solid that aloneness no longer feels like emptiness. It feels like a sanctuary. It's where they think clearly, where they regenerate, where they grow sharper, wiser, and more rooted in who they are.
The Fortress of Solitude is what I was about to say. Look, solitude is next.
Solitude becomes their source of clarity instead of their source of fear. This is the stage where their power becomes undeniable. Because when an empath walks alone by choice, rather than by abandonment, they move differently. They move intentionally. They move with direction, with purpose, with an inner compass that no longer sways with the emotions of others. Healed empaths don't walk with a crowd, they walk with their conviction. Their solitude is not quiet, it is concentrated. It is the reason they begin to make decisions without hesitation, cut ties without guilt, and trust their intuition without second-guessing. They may walk alone, yes, but the way they move carries the weight of an entire army, and that's the part people never expect. Not everyone deserves a front-row seat to your life, and a healed empath finally knows that. One of the most dramatic shifts happens when an empath heals. Their standards rise in a way that feels almost shocking to people who once had unlimited access to them. They stop giving their time freely. They stop letting people close just because they asked. And they stop believing they owe their energy to anyone who wants it. Healed empaths don't build walls. They build entry requirements. They become extremely selective about who gets near their inner world. This isn't fear. This isn't bitterness. It's self-respect. They finally understand that access to their heart, their presence, their attention, and their peace is a privilege, not a right. And privileges must be earned. This shift changes everything. The empath who once over-explained now speaks in clarity. The empath who chased toxic validation now chooses alignment. The empath who tried to fix everyone now helps people in a way that doesn't break them in return. They still care deeply, but they no longer sacrifice themselves to prove it. This is the phase where a healed empath stops living reactively, putting out emotional fires, absorbing everyone's chaos, and starts living intentionally. You need to pay attention, because you've been misled about who you were all along.
some type of morphing plasmoid. This was captured in Brazil. They're saying it is a ship that's changing.
This is terrifying, but also like disturbing and sad at the same time. So this person's mom and aunt cleaned this place. I guess they do cleaning like for a living. They cleaned this place that used to be like a big mental asylum. And the aunt took this video when they were done, just kind of like showing around a little bit because it's like this giant place. And they didn't hear anything when they were taking the video or being in the house. But then when they watched it after, you can literally hear so many voices screaming, distressed voices, especially when they go like, I think she goes like upstairs or wherever she moves for a minute, you can really hear them. There's like so many spirits stuck in this place, I feel like. Watch it and let me know what you think.
Hey, Saint.
She's not having fun at all. She's like, we just cleaned this place and you record? If you don't put that camera down and help me carry this stuff to the car.
Stop, get the car. Yeah.
I think it was an accent, but she literally just said that. Help me get this stuff to the car. I think that's what she said.
Okay, so this is terrifying, but also like just
I mean, whenever I see checkered flooring on the ground, that already tells me everything I need to know. They may be getting some rituals going on in there.
What if Rome never actually fell? It just changed its name. When the United States was founded, its leaders didn't invent a new visual language for power. They chose one that had already ruled the world: Roman architecture. Look at Washington, D.C. The Capitol isn't an office building, it's a temple. The Lincoln Memorial isn't a monument, it's a shrine. Massive columns, perfect symmetry, stone designed to last centuries. These aren't modern design choices, they're ancient ones. Rome understood something fundamental. Power must look permanent. In the Roman world, architecture wasn't decoration, it was messaging. Law was sacred, authority was centralized, the state was eternal. That same philosophy appears again in American civic design: the Senate, the Capitol, the eagle. Latin phrases carved into stone. These symbols weren't chosen randomly, they come directly from Rome. But this idea goes even deeper. In biblical interpretation, Rome is often symbolically linked to Babylon, not just as empires, but as systems. Systems that organize power, control trade and law, and regulate the flow of information and technology. Babylon fell, Rome fell, but the system didn't disappear. It adapted. Some historians argue Rome never truly collapsed. It fragmented, evolved, and re-emerged in new forms. New capitals, new flags, same blueprint. The United States didn't inherit Rome's territory, it inherited its framework, the way authority is displayed, the way law is elevated, the way power is carved into stone.
Also, the Latin written on the back of our dollar bills, you know? Don't nobody understand the Latin on the back of our money? Why would you put that there?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? You let it know. You got anything to tell anybody? Can you say hi to Kyle Underwood Photography? You're beautiful.
I can't help but look at the owl like he's trying to tell him something. Does anybody speak owl by chance?
You let it on. You got anything to tell anybody?
What did that owl say? If you guys thought I didn't have another excellent specimen for you today, I got two for you. All right, the first one. All right. Okay. I love this. I know what I'm gonna call it. If I had to name this, I would call this Arctic Wave. Arctic Wave is the name I would call this because it looks like a giant tidal wave, like an Arctic tidal wave. And I would rate this about a 9.0. A 9.0 Arctic tidal wave is the name I give this. Go ahead and rate it and drop your name below. We got one more. All right, you guys see it. Almost looks like it's on top of a fossil of some type. How cool would that be? But these lavender dice. Woo-hoo-hoo, what a great name. Lavender dice is the name I would have to give this. And I would give this I'll give it a 7.7, but the colors are extraordinary. The cubes, the GameCube looking stones on top of this fossil is definitely interesting. That's all we got for today's video. I like that. I might start doing that. That's all we got for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe button. Share it if you really enjoyed it and think somebody else would. And I just want to say thank you. The code word for today is awake. Go ahead and drop awake in the comments below. When you do that, that shows me you're a real one and you rock with your boy. You watch the video all the way to the end. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys spending some of your day with me. And I truly appreciate it. This was the most mysterious TikToks on the internet today. See you later.